Palestinians want you to believe that that right there is a refugee camp. In this video, we'll focus on two refugee camps, one in the north of Jerusalem, Shuafat, and one to the north of Bethlehem and south of Jerusalem, Aida. Let's check out Aida.
Hey guys, so after I was eating, I walked back to the wall and I went and bought some items and I met, what's your name?
Mustafa. I'm a Palestinian tour guide and we are here in the refugee camp. This is the place where I born and I grew up. I'm taking your friend to saw my community. Let's go. When we talk about refugee camp, people think that we are going to see tent or shelter or temporary life, but the refugee camp today have been last for more than 75 years, which is enough time for the people to move ahead. This place was established by the United Nations in the year of 1948. The United Nations, they built the tent here. So the place where we are now, once back in the history, it used to be all tent, but step by step, we talk about here about 75 years. 75 years is enough time for the people to move ahead from the tent to the shelter to the irregular houses that we are going to see now.
Let me show you just how insane this claim is. We've just arrived at the heart of the Bat Yam refugee camp. This is a Jewish refugee camp in the heart of Israel, in the city of Bat Yam, just next to Tel Aviv. 70 years ago, there were no apartment blocks like this. In fact, these streets were lined with nothing but tents, housing thousands of refugees from the Muslim world. Jews from Egypt, Libya, Syria, they all found themselves crowded in camps just like this one. So you might be thinking it's a bit of a stretch to name the people that are living here 70 years after they fled persecution, refugees. Most of them never experienced the persecution of their parents or grandparents. Well, that's the exact same parallel as with the Arabs. There's no difference. You see, the definition of a Palestinian refugee isn't someone who actually fled a war. It's anyone who has an ancestor that lived in British Mandatory Palestine between 1946 and 1948. It doesn't matter if they had one great-grandparent that arrived in 1945. By the United Nations definition, they're a refugee. So if they're refugees, these are refugees, the descendants of the Jews that fled Arab persecution, that found themselves housed in refugee camps like this one in Bat Yam just behind me. There is no difference. If you're thinking it's absurd to call these people refugees, you'd be right, they're not refugees. But neither are the Palestinians. We need to break this insanity, stop pandering to this outrageous claim that someone who's never fled a war, never experienced a war, lives in the nation they believe they belong to, Palestine. That they are somehow a refugee living in a refugee camp which looks no different to this. It's insane. Stop with the lies.
Now I feel like I'm seeing the real Palestine. This is real life.
Salam.
No, it really isn't the real Palestine. You've gone here, Aida, in Bethlehem. As you can see, Bethlehem is a big city with lots of affluence. You've chosen the poorest neighborhood you can find and claimed it's the real Palestine because it fits your conception that Palestinians are impoverished. But this house is just 5 minutes away in Hussam. It's Palestinian, it's beautiful, and it's far from impoverished. In fact, let's see how much property actually goes for in these camps. From someone in Shuafat.
مخيم شعفاط السكنة بتبلش من 500,000 شيكل 520,000 شيكل اليوم بتوصل السكنة في المخيم ل 600,000 و 700,000 شيكل
Sure. Okay, that's very interesting. 500,000 shekels for an apartment in the Shuafat refugee camp. And that was the cheapest price, remember. That's the starting price. What is that in dollars? That's $175,000. This is what you can buy for that money in Texas. Having seen what you can buy in Texas for the same money as an apartment here, you realize that these people aren't as impoverished as you're led to believe. The Palestinians are like any people. There's rich and there's poor. And this happens to be the poorest neighborhood in Bethlehem. Shuafat, one of the poorest neighborhoods in Jerusalem. But they're still relatively expensive properties. They're not third world slums. And the only reason they're referred to as refugee camps is because in 1948, the United Nations temporarily rehoused genuine refugees here and then preserved that status as a camp for time immemorial. It's not the Palestinian National Authority that looks after this tiny slither of Bethlehem, it's the United Nations. And they're refugees for that reason. They're registered as refugees despite never ever experiencing flight. They were born there, their parents were born there. It's an ordinary suburb of an ordinary city. And they have Palestinian citizenship, they have Palestinian passports, they vote in Palestinian elections, yet we're supposed to believe they're refugees. Why? Because their great-great-grandparents were.